Tonight, we enter a place of stone and shadow. A corridor stretches ahead, lit only by wavering torches that hiss and crackle against damp walls. The air is cool and heavy, carrying the faint scent of smoke and old straw. Footsteps echo softly somewhere beyond sight, swallowed by the thickness of the underground passage. This is not a place of loud suffering or dramatic scenes. It is a place of waiting, of silence, of slow time. In the medieval world, torture was not chaotic or random. It was deliberate, ritualized, and often legal. It was part of a process meant to extract something considered more valuable than comfort or dignity, a confession. Long before a person ever entered a chamber like this, they would have been accused. Perhaps by a neighbor. Perhaps by a rival. Perhaps by rumor alone. Accusations could rise from whispers of theft, of heresy, of witchcraft, of treason. And once accused, the path forward grew narrow and dark. The accused would be taken from their home and placed into a cell much like the one at the end of this corridor. A small room of stone. Straw on the floor. A barred window high above, allowing in a faint slice of moonlight or gray daylight. Iron shackles rested cold against wrists and ankles. Not always painfully tight, but always present. A reminder that movement, comfort, and freedom had been taken away. Days might pass here before anything happened. Interrogators did not rush. Time itself was part of the pressure. Hunger, uncertainty, and isolation slowly wore down the mind. The accused did not know what would happen, only that something would. In a larger chamber nearby, tools waited in stillness. Wooden frames. Coiled ropes. Iron devices resting quietly on tables. Bowls of water. Cloth. Parchment. A quill and ink prepared for writing. These objects were arranged with care, almost like instruments laid out before a performance. Because to medieval officials, this was a procedure, structured and purposeful. One of the most well-known devices was the rack. A wooden frame with rollers at each end. Ropes attached to wrists and ankles. When turned, the rollers pulled the body in opposite directions. Slowly. Gradually. Not in violent jerks, but in controlled, measured movement. The goal was rarely to cause immediate injury. It was to stretch, to strain, to create discomfort that built over time. A sensation that felt endless, inescapable. Interrogators often paused between turns of the mechanism. They would ask questions calmly. They would offer a simple way out. Confess. If the accused remained silent, the process continued. Elsewhere in the chamber, another method waited beside a wooden table and basin of water. Cloth would be placed over the face. Water poured slowly from a jug. Not to drown, but to create the terrifying sensation of drowning. The mind, unable to distinguish between fear and reality, would panic. Breathing became frantic. Time seemed to stretch. Again, questions were asked gently, almost patiently. And again, the offer remained the same. Confess. Smaller tools were used too. Iron clamps designed to squeeze fingers or thumbs. Pressure applied gradually. Not always to break bones, but to create a focused, sharp discomfort that demanded attention. The chamber itself remained quiet through all of this. Only the drip of water. The creak of wood. The soft rustle of clothing. The scratching of quill on parchment as notes were taken. Because every step was recorded. Confessions, once given, were written down carefully. Names, details, admissions, whether true or spoken out of desperation, were preserved in ink and sealed with wax. Sometimes the accused confessed quickly. Sometimes they resisted for hours or days. But eventually, many understood that the path out of the chamber did not lie in silence. It lay in words. Not all devices often shown in modern stories were actually used. Some, like the infamous iron sarcophagus lined with spikes, were more symbolic or exaggerated over time. But the idea behind them remained powerful: confinement, darkness, and the fear of what might happen inside. Fear itself was an essential tool. When the session ended, the accused might be returned to their cell. Exhausted. Shaken. Left alone again with stone walls and drifting torchlight. More time passed. Eventually, a confession document would be brought to a table. The accused might be asked to mark it, to acknowledge it. Whether they believed the words or not no longer mattered. The written confession now had authority. From the dungeon, the process moved upward. To candlelit halls, to church interiors, to village squares. The quiet underground space gave way to public consequence. Sometimes there was a trial. Sometimes the confession itself was enough. Villagers might gather in a square at night, torches flickering in the mist. Silhouettes standing in silence. The outcome already decided long before this moment. And then, just as quietly as it began, it ended. By morning, the corridor was still again. The torches burned lower. Light from the rising sun slowly filtered down stairways and through narrow openings. Dust floated in the warm beams of dawn. The tools remained where they had been placed. The ropes hung loosely. The tables stood in silence. The cell might be empty now. Straw disturbed. Shackles resting on the floor where they had been removed. What remains is not noise, but atmosphere. Not chaos, but procedure. A system that believed truth could be drawn out through discomfort, patience, and fear. For those accused, torture was rarely a sudden burst of pain. It was a slow experience of waiting, uncertainty, and pressure that stretched across hours and days. A world of stone, shadow, and flickering light. And as daylight fills the corridor, the chamber returns to stillness once more.